let's understand how the situation around the globe is changing. And I dare say that the geopolitics coupled with the geoeconomics is indeed seeking to reshape the rules that govern the world order. There are some nations which follow international order. There are others which depend on their own lawfare. They make their own rules and regulations, try and changing status quo, and therefore these kind of things do lead to conflict situations, and that is what we are witnessing on our northern borders. And therefore, we are witnessing changes in the geopolitics shaped by a nation-first approach. Today, nations feel that we need to authoritatively pressurize other nations if they can, and that is what is leading to a changed security situation. And the world is now becoming fragile on account of threats from hybridization of warfare. So nations feel that they have arrived with better technologies and therefore threaten other nations which probably do not have that kind of technology and seek the technological advantage into conflict. And therefore they are trying to become more and more assertive now. And very soon we may find that adversaries may get embroiled into conflict with one of the other nation even being unaware that they are actually into conflict. And therefore, I think unconventional means of conflict employed by clever use of disruptive technologies could actually paralyze the networks, causing breakdown of systems, banking, power grids, transportation, communication, to name just a few. And therefore, nations which have developed these kind of disruptive technologies feel that they will be able to impose their will on the other nations by saying that if you don't come to my terms, I have other means of bringing you into conflict through unconventional means. So people are trying to become nations, are trying to become assertive, and this is what I think China attempted to say that it is my way or no other way. But I think such nature of undeclared war will place dilemma in the minds of decision makers whether or not to resort to kinetic force and thus be labeled as an aggressor. So it is trying to draw you into a conflict without you starting the conflict, but resorting to disruptive technologies. It is very difficult for nations then to decide that do I now resort to conflict through use of kinetic means? Will always be putting a dilemma on the minds of adversaries. And therefore, while militaries around the world are seeking innovative systems to enhance their combat capabilities, disruptive technologies, on the other hand, will compel nations to rethink their concept, doctrines, and techniques of warfighting. And that is what China is evolving to do. It is trying to get into a limited conflict through informationalization of their systems, thinking that we are superior in technology and the adversary may not be able to stand up against us and will therefore succumb to these kind of threats. But what I feel we need to do is to ensure that it is quality and not quantity of war fighting machinery that will necessitate changes in the structure of our organizations. There's something which we are looking at. Technology will indeed play an important role in the manner in which nations perform in the future. Now, through the weaponization of the social media, the internet is changing war and politics, just as war and politics are being changed by the internet.
I suppose, General Rawat, arguably Chinese aggression is galvanizing the Quad to draw together. So while you say, they may be trying to pick a fight to show that they are the superior power, one would ask why are they doing it when it's actually bringing the Quad closer together?
Well, as I said, they feel that they have arrived. They have a superior armed force because of the technological advantage that they have. They have been able to create disruptive technologies which can paralyze systems of the adversary, and therefore they feel that just by doing a little bit of shove and push, they will be able to compel nations to give in to their demands. But I think India has stood firm on the northern borders, and we have proven that we will not get pushed. And I think in whatever we have been able to achieve in standing firm, in preventing a change of status quo, we have been able to gather world support, and I think the international community has come to our support to stay to say that yes, there is an international based rule order which every nation must follow. And that is what we've been able to achieve, and that is what we are trying to gather support from the other international nations. They have tried to ensure that they can change the status quo by the use of disruptive technologies without using force. As of now, they have not used force, and they thought that India as a nation will succumb to the pressures that they are putting on us because of the technological advantage that they have.
General Rawat, what are your views on the treatment of Uyghurs in Xinjiang?
I didn't get the last part of your question.
The treatment of Uyghurs in Xinjiang province?
Well, in our nation, we've always believed that every community, irrespective of the religion that they follow, their caste, their creed, their color of the skin, I think everybody has equal rights. And as far as humanity is concerned, the world must stand together in ensuring that people get their human rights as they deserve. So I think it is a call that the international community needs to take.
I just want to ask you about Afghanistan, General Rawat. Americans are abandoning their Afghan allies. Does this raise questions in the Indo-Pacific about American wherewithal more broadly? And also, how does the withdrawal from Afghanistan impact India? What does it mean for India?
Well, we have concerns about Afghanistan. Afghans have been at war for rather long, and we would like to see peace and tranquility returning to that region. If the US feels that by their withdrawal and similar follow from the NATO allies who say that we will also like to possibly withdraw, that is what we are reading from the media, that in case US withdraws from Afghanistan, NATO will follow suit. But if that is going to ultimately lead to peace and tranquility, we would be happy to see such a situation emerging. But our concern is that the vacuum that is going to be created with the withdrawal of United States and NATO should not create space for other disruptors to step in, and therefore the violence continues in Afghanistan. We would be very happy to provide whatever support we can in the development of Afghanistan and making sure that ultimately peace returns to that nation. I think the people basically have got tired and are looking forward to peace. And if the Americans can bring that peace in by their withdrawal, which I believe the Taliban says if the Americans withdraw, there will be less fighting there. And if that can happen, I think then it should be a happy situation. But in the end, we must see peace and tranquility returning to Afghanistan.
When you say other disruptors, namely Pakistan, Iran?
Well, there are many nations that are willing to step into Afghanistan. And I would like to name one nation. There are many people who are looking at the opportunity to walk into the vacuum that is being created. Afghanistan is a nation which is rich in resources, and there are nations we know who tend to exploit resources for their own benefit without the benefit going to the community of that nation. So if that is going to happen, I think that should be prevented, and the international community must step in to ensure that Afghanistan is for the Afghans.